fix one problem onto another.
Because they always have a list. So we are continuing the shaft seal removal. And of course we say it like it's just removed the shaft seal, but quick little rundown of what we've done so far is we removed the prop, removed the anoid off of there. We removed the coupler from the actual transmission, got that separated. There is actually a gear in here, in case you guys are just joining us. That gear that's on the shaft that's right up against the coupler there, we had to get that off or get it loose. It won't actually come out until the coupler is off because it goes right over the shaft. We have the original shaft seal that was leaking. I've never been able to get these couplers off easy. So what we do is, you could see the 3 pieces of all thread there. We cut those to length and filed them down, put some nuts on those. And then we have this plate that we have fabricated. So what this is gonna do is, the coupler is gonna sit right here. The bolts are gonna run through the coupler holes, and then there's gonna be nuts on the back side of this. And so what that's gonna do is, this is gonna be attached to the coupler, this big guy here. This is, I call it a pancake press. This is going to sit in between the bolts like so. We're gonna put some thick washers that we have right here as spacers that are just the right size. Once we get that in there, and then we get the spacers in there, we're actually gonna start pumping it. This is gonna expand it. It really will only travel maybe an inch. So that's why we have the spacers in there. And what that's gonna do is, this plate being hooked to the coupler is gonna act as the backstop. This is gonna actually punch the shaft out of it. We're gonna get enough pressure in there so this will separate the coupler itself from the shaft.
So right now we're trying to get the shaft all lined up with our little pulley. So I'm down here spinning the prop. Chris is up there making sure everything stays lined up. And hopefully we can get this first shot.
We've got that in there. Now we just gotta put the nuts on here and then just adjust this with the nuts so it's holding enough back pressure at the right angle, and that there's enough room for us to get that press in there. That should sit just like that.
It's not lining up with the holes. I can see it from here.
It's not gonna be perfect, mostly because our template isn't off of this, you know what I mean? But really all we're trying to do is just get that back pressure.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you could every single time do a template of this and it would line up perfect. We've used this, I think, on like 3 or 4 shafts now.
If it works, it works.
We make it work. You can see the backing plate with our all thread is put in there. And now we got the pancake press, that's what I call it, in there. That little orange tagline right there is actually wrapped around about 5 washers. Those washers are going to be the spacer that we put between the press and the actual shaft. And then once we start pumping this, it should just pop that shaft right out of the back of the coupler. Sometimes we get lucky and then it just pops right out. Other times we got to sit there and heat it, bang on it, spin it, hit it, bang on it, spin it, and then eventually it comes out. Hopefully once we get it lined up in there good, should be good to go. What do you think, AJ? Think it's gonna work?
I hope it works.
Yeah.
I hope it works first try.
Let's go.
So right now we're still working on getting this seal out. We decided to have to do it the hard way. So there's a blowtorch, there's a hammer down there somewhere. We got it just broken loose, and right now we're just trying to find more of a spacer to put in there so we can just press it out instead of trying to hammer it out. But it's coming along, just very slowly and very painfully, but it's coming along.
All right, so we're still removing this coupler, but we have made progress. We've repositioned the plate again, and we actually, hand me those washers. Our original spacer was, I don't know, probably 6 of these. And because pancake press is really strong, it actually doesn't extend that far. We were able to get, you can see the black Sharpie and then a rust. We were able to get it pop loose about that far, but it still needs a little bit more encouragement to go all the way, because the coupler is scared, doesn't really want to come off. He's been on there for so long. So we added a few more spacers inside there. Really what I do is, because it's so tight there, is I take that little string, wrap them on the spacer, drop them into place, line everything up, and then tighten these bolts down. Now, if you do not have press, what I have seen people do is, instead of a press here, you put a large spacer in there, and then you would actually use these 3 bolts. You would continue to tighten them down, and your bolts would actually act as the press driving that out. So you don't necessarily have to have this press. You could do it just by using a wrench and your alt thread here, but we have the press, and I like to make the machine do all of the work.
I hope it comes out soon.
Sooner or later, one way or another, it's coming out. We've definitely made progress. So you can see where the black Sharpie is. That's where the shaft started, or excuse me, that's where the coupler was resting on the shaft. All that rusted area is how much it's moved, and it is loose now. At least enough that we'll be able to get it to come off. Really what we had to do is just press out a little bit. Once it moved, once it actually broke free, we did have to apply a little bit of a heat to it to get the initial part to break free. I soaked it last week, so that's also helped out a little bit too. So we would press it out a little bit. Once that would move, then I would just release the pressure, the press, tighten these bolts down, and then extend it again. And then repeat that probably about 4 or 5 times until we got that much travel out of it. We're gonna pull the apparatus off now and just couple her off, and should be good to go.
All right, Chris, fix one problem onto another.
All right, so we came here today, removed that the coupler off that was seized up at the end of the shaft. We got that out. Another thing on the to-do list, because they always have a list, was the trim tabs were not working. First thing we did is got power to them with the trim tabs. They usually get power off of the ignition. So we fired up the ignition, got power to them. I actually had to take a bunch of stuff out so we could get access to them. But we tested them and they worked, but the lights didn't come on. This has a flying bridge, so we also wanted to check them up there. And we tested them up there. The lights did come on up top, and both of the trim tabs worked going up and down. So we know that we don't actually have a physical problem. Now we gotta figure out why this side was not lighting up side and side, or excuse me, the switch that was inside. So first thing that I did was there's a junction. Yeah, come down here. These Lenco trim tabs, they're all electric, so you have the actual actuators which are outside, and they hook up to your system with these 2 Deutsch connectors here. And really all this is just the 12 or 24 volts going to them. And there is inside over here, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a black control box, and in there, that control box sends the power to the actuators. And then when you want to extend them, it sends 12 volts down there, and you want to retract them, it just reverses polarity on these 2 wires and it retracts. We know that both of them are working, so we didn't really have to mess with these connectors. Because this has a fly bridge and an enclosed bridge, 2 controllers, the gray wires are the actual switches coming into this black wire. When that black wire goes into the control box, you can see they are just wired in series going down. Actually, I guess that would be parallel. Never mind. Yeah, so they're wired in parallel, so you can control them from either side without having to do anything. So what I did first thing was just switch these and to see if the fault moved at all. The fault did not move. Both of the switches could still control it with these switched, but this downstairs did not light up. So that left the control cable, a possible break in the wire, or at the switch itself, the LEDs being burnt out. So that lasted here. So we went up to the fly bridge, took that switch out, brought it down here. You probably can't hear it, but right now it's working, but there's no light. This is the original switch that was down here. To pop that off, fly bridge, which oddly enough looks in worse shape than this one, and we plug, and now the lights are showing the position, and it's updating as they extend. Pull it down, pull them back down. Gonna be good. It is a little intermittent, so I'm gonna see if they want us just to get 2 switches, just because this one's been out in the sun for a little bit. Aesthetically doesn't look all that great, but surprisingly, now if you even look at this, how they've gotten kind of cloudy in the resin there, could have gotten some moisture in there, could have shorted out the LEDs or just ruined the control just enough that the lights don't work. So yeah, so now we're gonna order them a new one. When the new one comes in, we'll install it and they'll have lights. So we're back here at the Swift trawler. Today we're going to be putting the shaft seal, the gear, and getting ready to drop the electric motor back on. When we came back here, they had somebody sandblast the bottom. The paint was old and it was covered in hard growth. And then looking at it, all of this filler is because it had a whole lot of pitting. And my opinion is that it probably has all of that pitting because it sat in the water unprotected for so long. The growth just started getting in there and deteriorating it and eating up the bottom.
And so what happens is that when you're blasting, it can be extremely dangerous because you never know what you're going to end up with in the end, because we can't see what your bottom looks like until it's blasted off. And so lots of times you'll have additional damage that needs to be repaired from the blasting process. So in our experience with doing bottoms, I never recommend that you get it blasted because we never know what the material looks like that's underneath the paint until after it's already done. I want to take you over so that we can look at this other side. Oh, well, it looks like they haven't got to this other side yet.
No.
It's completely, they haven't put the filler yet that they're using, but look at this. You can see it goes all the way down to the glass. We had a boat blasted some years ago, and it was not fiberglass. It was actually like a filler. So the whole bottom was filler that got damaged, and we had to have the whole bottom skimmed to repair it.
Well, I'm just down here looking at some of the real excessive damage, but a product that we've installed for customers in the past, and we've done trials with it and proven that it's actually pretty effective, is Sonnyhaul. It's transducers that you mount inside the boat. It's not a through hull. And what it does is it emits, it can run off of 12, 24, 120, and 240 volts. So it can either run off your boat batteries or it can run off your shore tie or both, whatever one is available. It emits these little sonic pulses, and you'll actually hear them when it's running. It's like this small tick, 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 and it prevents hard marine growth on your bottom.
Chris just mentioned about the Sonnyhaul, and something that I want to say is that on our customers' bottoms that we have installed that, we've actually brought our drone and put it in the water to go and view the bottoms at different time periods over the last year so that we could really see the effects of having that on their boat.
Today we are going to be putting a new shaft seal in. The stern tube is right there. That's where we're going to put the shaft seal. After the shaft seal, we got to put a gear because these brackets right here is actually what holds the electric motor above the shaft, and it's connected via a gear. You can actually probably still see the black mark right there where the gear goes. And then we got to get the 2 spare belts and the coupler on there and make all of that fit in that tight little spot. It'll be a fun little task today, but we'll do that, do some troubleshooting on the bow thruster, and get replacement parts for the trim tabs. What do you think?
Cool.
All right, it's gonna be a good day. And it would be nice if the boss was here, but I guess we'll just do all the work for him. Was he hunting, right?
Yep.
Nice. Better bring back some venison or some jerky or something.
For sure.
Yeah. This is the shaft seal. I don't know how we're gonna get the spares on there, but that's something that we're gonna have to figure out because we are very limited for room down there. So this is your boot, this is your actual shaft seal. This goes to your stern tube, this goes to here. Your actual seal is inside up here. Take that little housing off. The seal's gonna go right inside there. And these are your spares. Actually put these on the shaft, so if this seal ever starts to go while the boat is in the water, it's very little bit of amount of water that's gonna get in there. If anything, you're gonna have to run your bilge pump for a minute tops. You take these bolts off, you take the cover off, you pick the old shaft off, cut it. When it comes off, these are already in place on the shaft, so you don't have to disconnect the coupler or do anything. It's safe to do in the water. You take these little guys, these are to protect the seal. You put that underneath the seal because it has a little bit of a loose fitting on the shaft. It doesn't actually get compressed until it goes into here. You put that on there, you make sure that your shaft is nice and clean so there's no pits or anything that'll cut up the seal. Once that old seal, it's kind of like old timey. You know, you don't want to take too long, but you don't have to rush it either. You want to do it right. Pick that off. So you have this set up. You pick the old seal off. Water's going to start coming in because you no longer have a seal. You're going to cut it, take it off, throw some Dawn down, slide it right in there. That should seal right back up. Pull the red part off, put the cover back on, and then you've got another couple of years until you put the other one on.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, you can imagine how stressful it is when Matt's on vacation because He's got big shoes that I can't fulfill. He's the mechanic and I'm not. But I do the best that I can with the guys when Matt is away. And today, of course, we're doing this shaft seal installation. And then I've got a boat that's getting hauled out immediately so that they can get back home for the holidays because their 3 Mercury engines they're having difficulty with.
Is it even sliding up there?